Hey, how's it going? I decided to. Someone was asking me a few weeks back about doing a. I did a Mike Landau style patch on the Helix, and someone asked me, could I do it, or would I do a total Steve Lukather one? And I thought I would for the fun. So this can just be a kind of a generic building a patch, building a sound video tutorial, whatever, using the Helix, and how I would go about making a patch from scratch, from blank. So we'll jump over onto HX Edit here, and you can see I have a completely blank preset. So the first thing I would do is there's gonna be a lot of effects probably on this, so I'm gonna link path A down to path, or path 1 to path 2, so I have use of both, which means I can maximize the processing power in the Helix. So first thing I would do is I would obviously put in an amp. Now I'm gonna go for the Soldano amp model. So I'm gonna put it on this first line here. I'm not gonna listen to it yet. I'm just gonna grab the Soldano model, which is called Solo Lead OD. You can see it here. So I'm gonna throw that in there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cab down here. Now I'm going to use an IR just because I have a few IRs here that I like. I could get very fancy and use 2 and pan them left and right, but for the purposes of this video we'll just use 1. I'm going to use this one. It's a Vintage 30 4x12 of Vintage 30s and an MD 421 microphone. Low cuts off, high cuts off. Everything's just as it is. So this is what it sounds like. Pretty dry, kind of basic, crunchy kind of sound. I'm going to aim for more of the sort of mid 90s, late 90s Lukather type tone. I really liked his tone on Minefields, that album, and also Tambu. It was kind of and his solo album Luke, if anyone has that record, that's really good. I really like the sound of that. I think he was using Rivera amps actually. He had kind of gone away from the rack stuff and he was using basically amp heads and cabs. So I'm going to kind of base it around that type of idea of an amp, not millions of effects, but we'll still try and get pretty greasy sounding because it is Steve Lukather we're aiming to get here. So this is where we are first and foremost. We got an amp, we got a cab. So with his rig, then he would obviously have a delay. So I'm going to throw a stereo delay. I'm going to go for stereo. The vintage digital is the one I always like. Put that onto quarter notes. And just this is what it sounds like, completely standard. Now that's quite a lot. It has this scale thing, which if you put it all 100%, you get like all the repeats on both sides. If you set it to 50, you get a kind of a ping pong thing. Goes bam bam bam. So I'm going to leave it at 50. You have a depth control for the repeats. So if you hear this, I'm going to raise it up. You can hear that the repeats get a bit wobbly if I increase the rate. You can hear that they start to modulate. So I'm going to turn those down. It can be a cool sound, but I'm going to keep it kind of pretty low. I'm going to knock the sample rate down to 12. So bit depth 12, sample rate 12. Just darkens the repeats a little bit, which I like. Now, still a lot of mix there, so I'm going to knock the mix back to 30% for the minute. And the feedback is at 45, so I'm going to knock that back to 40. Okay, so that's just amp, cab, and delay. Now I'm going to pull the delay down onto its own line here. So we now have a dry coming on this center path here. The dry signal is unaffected by the delay, and then it's getting split out into the delay here. So we've got essentially kind of dry down the middle and delay either side. Now, the next thing I'm going to add, I'm going to just knock the noise gate on. You can just hear a little bit of noise. Just gonna put that on very lightly. Okay, the next thing I think will be a plate reverb. So I'm going to go stereo. This is in the Legacy reverbs. Plate. That's a big reverb, so we're going to knock the mix down on that, 20% maybe. I'm going to bring the low cut up, and I'm going to bring the high cut up because I like a bright reverb. Okay. Now, the next thing I would do is I'm gonna do. Now I'd learned this trick. There's a great guy on YouTube called Jason Saditz. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. And he always puts a compressor at the end, which is a real kind of studio type trick. So I'm gonna do the same because it does sound good, and it gives you a little bit more kind of juice on the end of the signal because it's not mega loud here. So he's the studio comp. Gonna knock everything back to 5. You can hear that just adds a little bit of level. The other thing that I would do is I would put in an EQ, stereo EQ, parametric. What I'm going to do with this is now I'm going to look for kind of nasty frequencies. Just so you know, the recording you're hearing, there's no post-processing or EQ going on. So everything you're hearing is just straight out of the Helix. Okay, so the Q all the way to 10 gives you the most narrow band, and the gain at 12. So this is going to let me hear the frequencies really loudly. So I'm going to go with the low first, and sweep through until I find. Now the boxy mid thing there. It's about 360 hertz. So I'm going to pull that out maybe 2.5, 3 dB. Now you can widen the Q if you like, but if you want to just be really surgical and just pull out a nasty frequency, I'll just leave it at 10. I'll do the same with the mid, so Q up to 10, level to 10. And I'm going to sweep through the mid until I find. There, so 1.5K. It's a bit kind of snarly sounding, I don't like that. Pull that about 3. And we're going to do the same with the high. As you can hear, like, very little going on up in the. So 3K, it's going to pull that out as well, about 3 dB. That just smooths out the sound a bit. Now, I still haven't touched any of the controls on the amp, so let's go into the amp. I'm going to knock off the reverb for a minute so we can hear it. Okay. Now, in the 90s, Luke did, like I said, he was using, I think it was Rivera amps. He had his own signature. It's called the Bonehead. And he quite a thick, modern kind of verging on sort of fuzzy tone. Not fuzzy, but it's quite a lot of gain. So using this Soldano, I'm going to boost up the gain a bit. To 7. Okay, let's play with the bass. Okay, we'll play with the mids a bit. treble. And the presence. Okay, I'm actually going to pull the trails back, or the depth back on that reverb, because it's quite a lot. The pre-delay. Now, another thing that they would have done back in it, there would have been a lot of rack effects going on still, even though he was using amps. So he probably would have run his amp into a rack, and then processed it after. Now I'm doing the delay after the cab in the Helix here, but you could run all your effects before your cabs, but then if you want stereo, you'd want to have two cabs and have them two IRs or two cabinets. But I'm going to put another compressor, because that's a real, but I'm going to go mono this time. So LS Studio Comp again, and I'm going to go less, 3, just check the level. Maybe 4 on the level. Again, just kind of lifts it up a little bit. And now, another thing you could do here is, if you were going for the more 80s sound, would be to put a Tristeria Chorus, which is in the stereo. We have, if we go down here, we have Trinity Chorus. This is the famous Tristeria Chorus, which obviously coupled in with the delay. It's very, very kind of 80s sounding. Now, I wouldn't run it quite so heavy, so I would knock all the depths back. I turn the manual off. I might actually go back another bit with those. What you can do is, as well, because you can play with the depth for left and right, and then the center. And you have boosts for left and right as well. So you could boost the left and boost the right. If you really want to get the serious 80s kind of Lukather thing going on. Like what would have that now? Stuff like that kind of thing. That's probably even still too much chorus, actually. Pull the rate back another bit, pull the depths back. Now, we're starting to actually notice that the delay could probably be a little louder. Anyway, that's just to demonstrate if you really want the greasy thing, the greasy chorus sound. I'm going, like I said, more for the 90s kind of. Everything from Kingdom of Desire, Tambu, Minefields, that kind of thing. Now, what else could we do? I could put a room reverb here as well, which just gives a little bit of, as if there was a bit of room, a small room. The low cut and the high cut a little bit, no pre-delay, and pull the mix back. So this is kind of like, if you think about it, this the plate reverb, the EQ, the compressor. This is like your outboard effects that's on your desk, and then everything else is just, amp to cab. Now, another thing you could do. You probably would have run a boost in the front, so let's stick a boost in for a little bit of extra gain. Let's use the. I don't know what he would have used actually in the 90s. Let's just go with the Tube Screamer. Can't go wrong with that. Gain down, level up, and the tone about 5 will do the job. We dial the amp back a little bit. Stick on the chorus. It's very chorusy, as you can hear. Let's knock off the boosts, so it's not quite so much. Yeah, we're kind of starting to need a bit more delay now as we get greasier. We're going for the real 80s thing. And yeah, you can go mad with the chorus and the effects and stuff. But yeah, let's hear that now in. So we're kind of somewhere close. I have a backing track here. Toto style backing track. Let's stick on a little bit and hear how it sounds in a mix. There you go, so that kind of, okay, stop that. So that give you an idea of how that would then sit in a mix. So yeah, I'm going to save this now. I'm going to call it 90's Luke for the fun. 90's Luke. And if anybody wants the preset, you can give me a shout on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching this, and I can send you the preset. Or you pretty much have how to put it together yourself there. I think it's good, actually, good practice to build sound and work on. You know, put on a song, you know, to listen to. Try and, you know, if you have an idea of what gear they used as a good start, because then you can pick the right amp or whatever, some of the effects, and then just go back and forth and try and dial it in, you know, and you know, refer back to the sound, go back to your sound and see if you get close. So yeah, I think that kind of gives you an idea. Stick on the chorus. Yeah, there you go. That again. So there, that's a quick 19 minutes. Quick little how to build a Steve Lukather style sound. Now, if you were going for the more early 80s thing, you probably want a lot less effects, a more vintage sounding amp, and a Les Paul kind of thing. But right, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon, probably.